Love is not enough. How healthy relationships actually work. What if the feeling you call love is not the thing that keeps a relationship alive? Falling in love can make one person feel like the center of the universe. Your attention narrows. Ordinary places feel new. A song sounds as if it was written for you. You do not simply see the other person. You see your hopes, needs, and unfinished dreams reflected back at you. That is part of what makes romantic love so powerful. Research connects early-stage love with brain systems involved in reward, motivation, and focused attention. But the intensity of the beginning is not a complete relationship. It is an invitation to build one. English asks the word love to do too many jobs. We love our spouse, our children, our friends, and sometimes a slice of pizza. So it helps to separate two experiences, falling in love and loving someone. Falling in love can happen quickly. Loving someone is a practice. Attraction may begin with a glance. A healthy partnership is built through ordinary decisions, telling the truth, listening instead of preparing a defense, keeping small promises, respecting boundaries, apologizing without making excuses, and making room for another person without erasing yourself. At the beginning, many of us fall in love with possibility. We notice what confirms the story we want to believe and ignore what does not. Then reality arrives. The person we imagined gives way to the person who is actually there. That moment is not necessarily the death of love. It may be the first chance for real love to begin. Before leaving because your partner failed to become the hero in your imagination, ask a harder question. Did this person betray the relationship, or did reality simply fail to match a fantasy they never agreed to fulfill? Healthy love requires two whole people. It does not demand that me and you disappear into us. The strongest relationships have roots and wings, shared values and a sense of home, but also separate friendships, interests, goals, and room to grow. Too much distance creates loneliness. Too much fusion creates suffocation. The goal is flexible closeness, knowing when to come together, when to give space, and how to return without punishment. This is also the difference between commitment and dependency. Commitment says, "You matter deeply to me, and I choose to build with you." Dependency says, "Without you, I have no identity, no safety, and no life." A committed relationship can nourish both people. A dependent one makes survival seem to require control, constant reassurance, or self-erasure. Love should help you grow. It should not require you to become smaller. Our patterns do not begin on the first date. We bring an invisible suitcase into every relationship, filled with childhood experiences, family rules, old betrayals, fears, and beliefs about love. That history influences us, but it does not have to imprison us. Attachment patterns can change as people move through later experiences and relationships. Your past may explain why a certain kind of person feels familiar. It does not require you to keep choosing what hurts you. This is why some people repeat the same emotional relationship, even when the partners look different. Familiarity can feel like chemistry. Anxiety can feel like passion. Trying to win love from an unavailable person can feel like destiny. But repetition is not proof that something is meant to be. Sometimes it is evidence that something remains unresolved. A healthier question is not, "Why do the wrong people always find me?" It is, "What do I keep overlooking, excusing, chasing, or trying to repair through someone else?" Then there is trust. Trust is not a switch that is fully on or off. It is built in degrees. Every kept promise opens the door a little wider. Every deception closes it. Trust requires honesty, reliability, boundaries, and accountability. "I changed" means little until consistent behavior makes it believable. After betrayal, some couples separate. Some stay, but never repair. Others do difficult, honest work and create a healthier relationship than before. Reconciliation is possible, but it is not owed. Forgiveness does not require immediate access, and rebuilding trust does not mean pretending the injury never happened. Jealousy also needs honesty. A flash of jealousy can be human. But jealousy stops being romantic when it becomes surveillance, isolation, accusations, threats, or control. "I act this way because I love you" is not a free pass to violate another person's freedom. And there is a line relationship advice should never blur. Abuse is not a communication style. Physical violence, sexual coercion, stalking, intimidation, and psychological control are not ordinary conflicts that both partners should simply work harder to solve. Safety comes first. Modern relationships face another quiet threat: divided attention. You can sit across from someone at dinner and still communicate that everyone online matters more. Researchers call repeated phone interruptions technophrence or phubbing, and studies have linked them with lower relationship well-being and satisfaction. The solution is not to treat technology as evil. Use it deliberately. Put the phone away during important conversations. Protect part of the evening from notifications. Look at the person who is speaking. Attention is one of the clearest forms of respect. A healthy relationship is not one without problems. It is one in which the partners place the problem in front of them, instead of placing each other there. Replace "you are the problem" with "we have a problem to understand." Ask, "What happened between us?" instead of building a courtroom in the living room. Humor helps. Curiosity helps. So does pausing before saying the sentence "you know" will leave a scar. Marriage does not automatically create this kind of love. A wedding is not a finish line, and a marriage certificate is not a maintenance plan. Long-term relationships develop routines, but routine is not the enemy. Neglect is. The real art is finding meaning inside ordinary life: morning coffee, school pickup, the grocery run, the familiar story you have heard before, and the quiet meal when neither person needs to perform. Love is not sustained by one grand promise. It is sustained by repeated evidence. So do not ask only, "Am I still in love?" Ask, "Do we tell each other the truth? Do we feel safe? Can we disagree without humiliation? Can we grow without threatening the relationship? Do our words and actions match? Can we repair after harm? Are we becoming more honest, generous, and fully ourselves?" Falling in love may turn your head. Loving well can change your life. What matters most in a lasting relationship? Passion, trust, communication, shared values, or the willingness to keep growing? Share your answer in the comments. Subscribe for more honest conversations about love and human relationships. And I will see you in the next video.